Hello and welcome to the Partisan video podcast week 3. I want to talk to you about three things this week. The first thing being the appeal, Carson's appeal into his criminal conviction for money laundering. Secondly, the EGM that never happened. And thirdly, the announcement that Birmingham International Holdings made about the sale of Birmingham City Football Club on Thursday. First of all, the appeal. Carson's appeal was heard in the Court of Appeal on Wednesday and Thursday. As part of the Court of Appeal is in part of the High Court in Hong Kong and would have 3 judges sitting. Carson had a very expensive QC by the name of Claire Montgomery. Very, very good QC, great reputation to represent him. And she used 2 main grounds of appeal. The first one being the so-called Pang Hung Fai test case, which was where the whole idea of what constitutes money laundering in Hong Kong was challenged. In Hong Kong, money laundering is either knowing or having reason to know that you have received money that is the proceeds of an indictable offence, and it's the reason to know bit. The reason to know bit is defined as the reasonable man would have reason to believe that the proceeds were from an indictable offence. Now, Judge Douglas Yao Tak Hong, when he conducted the trial, he said that he couldn't speculate where the money had come from, merely that he thought Carson would have reason to believe that the money might be iffy. That doesn't cut it anymore. With Pang Hung Fai, the law changed, and now when the judge says he can't speculate, that's not good enough. The judge has to make a decision where the money has come from, and if Carson would have known about that. There was also a little bit about the validity of the case, because it covered such a long period that it seemed that it seemed a bit weird. It should be just 5 charges, when realistically it was lots of little things. Now that may seem counterintuitive, as in, is she saying that it should have been done 15 times instead of 5? But what she's actually getting at is there are lots of little bits where Carson could actually prove where he knew where the money was from. And if that was the case, then that would have been thrown out. It was just because they lumped it all together, and it doesn't work like that. They lumped it all together and they convicted him for it. Jonathan Kaplan, QC, another very expensive, good reputation QC from England, was QC for the prosecution side, and he basically argued against all that, as you'd expect. Now, Will, who's the co-author of the book that I wrote, Haircuts and Lead Cups, available online, haircutsandleadcups.co.uk, £15, this shiny royal blue hardcover copy. Will is quite confident that Carson might have a chance of getting off here, purely because the way the rules have changed. And he thinks that, he told me when I spoke to him this morning, that if he doesn't get off here, he has got a very good chance in the court of final appeal. So, speaking as a Birmingham City fan, I kind of hope he doesn't, because that would, if he does, the whole game changes, everything changes, and all bets about the sale of the club are off. If he stays inside them, then Carson Yeung can get on with it and hopefully can move forwards. Speaking of Carson, he tried to hold an EGM this week, and on Wednesday afternoon, Carson Yeung, as receivers of Birmingham International Holdings, released an announcement to the stock exchange where they shot down, torpedoed down the EGM, saying it had no validity. Shareholders had no notice, and that the the resolutions on the agenda, all the directors were no longer directors, they'd all resigned, and the directors that Carson wanted to appoint wouldn't pass the fit and proper person test. Don't know whether they went ahead with the EGM or not, but the effective outcome of the announcement was, well, you can do it, but it's a waste of your time, money and effort. Well, I guess we'll see in the wash if anything does happen, but I doubt it. The announcement they made yesterday was the third thing I wanted to come to, which would be the sale of Birmingham City Football Club. Now, they made quite a bold statement in that they actually affirmed that they weren't looking to sell the club just yet. I'll quote it to you. The receivers are open to a wide spectrum of options to preserve the value of the company as a whole, and in the interest of the company and the shareholders as a whole. Disposal of interest in BCFC would be a last resort to the receivers. The receivers would like to confirm that they have not commenced any significant discussion or negotiation with any parties in relation to the sale of the shares and equity interest in Birmingham City Football Club. Further announcement will be made by the receivers in accordance with all applicable requirements of the listing rules as and when appropriate. Now, I've seen a few interpretations of this, but essentially what they're saying is we don't really have to sell it just yet, and we'll do it in our own sweet time. And there are plenty of, they also say in the announcement that plenty of people are interested. We've not spoken to anyone yet. Kind of shoots down this theory that's been doing the rounds that there's going to be an imminent sale of the club. I think, I can't tell you for sure, but I think that is hubris on someone's part. Maybe someone thinks that they can do a deal now. Maybe they think that the club's about to go under or Birmingham International Holdings are going to go under and they can do it at a distressed price. Neither are true. I'll repeat, neither of those statements are true. We're actually in a seller's market because there are a lot of people interested. So why sell now? Why not see how much money you can get for it? If you think about it, Ernst & Young have to do an investigation into Birmingham International Holdings anyway. They have to check out the finances because the accounts need to be restated. We've had this misappropriation of funds from Birmingham International Holdings. Do they actually know how much BCFC's worth? I mean, we all have got an idea in our heads, but do they actually have a ballpark figure of what they should be looking for? If they don't have the accurate financial statements of Birmingham International Holdings, how can they know for sure? Surely it would make more sense to get all that into order, get a good idea of where they're at, so that they can make sure they maximise the amount of money they get for it. Just a thought. What would happen, I understand, if and when they do put it up for sale, is they'll do it by tender. What that means is they'll invite bids, they'll put an announcement to the stock exchange inviting bids, there'll be a limited amount of information available, people will be able to take that information, make a bid based on it, there'll be a deadline, and then Ernst & Young will pick the best one and go with it, making preferred bidders, giving full due diligence, blah blah blah. The one thing that needs to be borne in mind is that they still need shareholder approval to do this. I've seen nothing to say that they have the power to sell it directly, and if anything, I think this statement to the stock exchange saying that it's a last resort confirms that they're not there to liquidate the club. They can if they want to, because it's normal running of the company, but they have to jump through the normal hoops everyone else does. Is that a good thing? Well, it's bad because it means they have to go via Carson, and they're going to have to convince him to do it, and I think they can do that. Carson, I know people see him as this immovable object, but Carson changes his mind like the wind. Give him a good thing reason to sell, and he'll do it. If you give him the list code, if Ernst & Young say, look, we got the list code back running again, the stock exchange are happy with it, it's listed back on the stock exchange, we'll take our shares out of whatever we sell, our money out, our fees out of whatever we sell the club for, and you'll get the listing, and you can put whoever you want on the board and run it however you want, and you also have a wad of money in the bank. Is he going to say no to that? Is he going to say no to being back in the game? Because he can make money through the stock market. That's what he's done all his career. Why not? I think there's a possibility. I think there's a strong probability it could happen. I'm not going to say it's definitely going to happen because I don't have a crystal ball. But I think anyone who thinks that the club is going to be imminently sold, as in by the end of this month, they're letting themselves in for a disappointment. I really do believe that. Anyway, I think that's about time for this week. So I'm going to wrap up now. I'm going to repeat, if you want to know what Birmingham International Holdings could be investigated for, or anything about the appeal, or the court case in general, the book, £15 from our website, haircutsandleagueups.co.uk, which will be in the description at the bottom. Or you can buy the electronic copy for £5. We've got all the information. We've got the most complete amount of information about what's happened and why it's happened that is out there. And if you want to read it, go for it. I suggest you do if you've got any interest in Birmingham City Football Club or in ownership in football club in general. If you want to ask me a question, or you want to tell me that I should stop doing this, or have a shave or whatever, my email address is almajira@oftenpartisan.co.uk. My Twitter is @often_partisan. Facebook is facebook.com/oftenpartisan. And the website, as you know, oftenpartisan.co.uk. Website for the book, once again, haircutsandleaguecups.co.uk. So there you go. That's my commercialisation for the week. That's my little bit of shilling. Hopefully next week we'll be talking about football. We might have some news on the appeal, but I doubt it. And you never know, Birmingham Holders might have made another stellar announcement to show what new they have dug up. Till then, keep right on.